Professor Omkar is the Chief Research Scientist at the Indian Institute of Science. So he has a B in Mechanical Engineering from Bangalore University, MSc and PhD in Aerospace Engineering from IISc. His research interests basically include satellite image processing, biomechanics, UAV, and bio-inspired design. Professor Omkar has 3 labs under him: Computational Intelligence Lab, the Unmanned UAV Lab, and the Biomechanics Lab. He is also pursuing several projects and research work in the area of satellite image processing. He has developed a number of algorithms and used them for a variety of applications like road extraction, flood assessment, crop classification, crop growth analysis, etc. He has also pioneered in using biomechanics for aerospace applications. This is of significance in the light of countries' interest in human space mission. He has established a lab facility towards this. Professor Omkar has more than 200 publications, journal publications alone, and has attended 83 post-graduate conferences, which include both national and international conferences, and has impacted, imparted training to more than 250 interns. He is also a member of 10 academic committees. He has introduced 3 courses at IISc. He has conducted several workshops and outreach programs for students. He is also a celebrated practitioner and teacher of yoga. And finally, Professor Omkar has been conferred the Karnataka State Rajyotsava Award for his contributions in the field of yoga and aerospace. Okay, so that's a very impressive bio. And now I'll ask the professor to take the presentation.
Thank you, Professor Paula. Well, I will make some presentation on some of the work that we have done. So we're not going to this classification of UAVs. You see today different types of things, from nano to many kind of things. Some of them are available as products, but what is our specialty is we are not using some borrowed items. That's why I'm showing all these things. We have a lab where we design, make, fly, and also do post-processing. So I will basically show you what we have done. And well, these things I prepared because I thought several students will be there. So as a part of the introduction, how they fly, etc. Sure, for this audience, we may not need all these things. And if we go to the applications that we have done, this is where. These are the variety of things that we make in our lab. Fixed wing, variety of fixed wing, rotary wing, hybrid. All these things are made in our lab. We have made nearly more than 100 types of different vehicles over a period of a decade. One of the important things is how do you drive the drone. So there are a variety of ways. So this is another specialty. This is a tethered drone, because drones, we know that they have a limitation of endurance, about 30 minutes maximum today if you look at it. But if you want to fly almost, let us say, to use the word eternally, it is possible by using a ground power. So we have a cable, special cable, ground power will be supplied, and this is our quadrangle in aerospace. We have flown it for 24 hours continuous. And we have also done some outdoor also we have done. There is a video. In outdoor we have done, we can fly it at altitude about 200-300 meters. So you can put a 360-degree camera. So if you have a high security zone, you can have a round-the-clock camera vision. So this is one of the important things now. We developed this for a company, and apparently it will be inducted in the nation's some security forces. And this is the hybrid transition vehicle. That is, today we know we have a rotary, which is very popular. Another thing, fixed wing. So we have made a hybrid. Is there a video here or no video? Yeah, so this will take off vertically, and then there is a pusher propeller which can take it forward. So it has the advantage of the fixed wing and the rotary. But we have made some preliminary slides, and we will be soon doing the full-fledged testing of this. Then this is another thing, it is a very modular one. You can carry it in a backpack, assemble in less than a minute and fly. So we have done actual test in 42 seconds. You can assemble the whole thing, and you can put some camera for quick surveillance purpose. We thought it would be useful for any army or whatever. They can carry it on backpack and quickly deploy. And with hand launch, so you don't need any elaborate runway and all those things. So it's very simple design. And then this is one of the interesting things, which is the lightest aircraft we have made. This all put together it will weigh 800 grams. See how light it is. It is made of carbon composites. We have used what is called as the carbon truss technology. So this is lighted, including motor, propeller, it is just weighs 800 grams and take a load of up to 10 kgs. So that's the power of this aircraft. Then when you talk of flying, of course, one in flying is, the radio control. There are specified frequencies in which we fly, but now we have graduated to all autonomous flights. All our flights are autonomous. In autonomous, you can set the path sitting in your lap, looking at the Google map, then simply launch it. This is what we did in Chora Post. We launched everything, put it on our firmware, go. The 45 is called buggy launch. And this is another interesting thing. I will show you a detailed study of this, because we are in this forum we are talking about atmosphere. So I would like to show you what we have done in terms of radiation monitoring. And this is the flight path. Once you set it, it will follow it. It will come back. So this is a very useful thing. This we call it an autonomous flight. Then there are situations where you have obstacles. So you should be able to fly this in. Can you play the video? This is the obstacle avoidance. And play everything. So we have developed a couple of algorithms. One based on texture features and another based on optical. This is based on textures. You can see the different texture. This is the path of least resistance to go there. This is based on optical flow path. And this is what you see is a simple road following drone. Any mud path or anything where there is two borders which can be delineated well, it will simply follow the middle path. So, for example, in the forest there will be some mud path or something like that, which army when you want to go, before that it can send this as a pilot and it can know what is happening ahead. So these are the three things which are very useful in flying in very tight environments where you will not have any big runways or things like that, especially when there is tree cover and especially when there is no GPS availability. That is the important thing. And then the other thing that we have developed is the brain controlled and thought controlled drones. So here we wear a EEG headset, a 14 channel or 5 channel headset. It is just we think it should go to left, it will go to left. Think it will go to right, it will go to right. Think it should come down, it will come down. So this is one of the things that we have developed. We have tested this. Is successfully implemented. This involves the analyzing the EEG signals. That is the complexity here. We collect the EEG signals from the scalp via the headset, send it to our computer. The computer will analyze this. We have the algorithm and that will send it to the drone understandable commands. So this is essentially what I have headset. And this is the 14 points. Then this is the signal, this is how they look. You have to extract the dominant features and then convert it into the drone understandable commands and do it. Then this is what is called as imitation learning. Suppose you want drone to go in different zigzag paths like this. You can do the training, you can train even on a normal games that you see, do the data collection and then fly the vehicle. So this is a collection of the data points we are doing, the drone, and the data point that we collect from a game like this can also be imported to this. So once the pilot, how he drives this, what we do is we capture the input of the pilot and also the response of the drone, and we train a algorithm based on some kind of a neural network which will mimic the pilot's behavior for a variety of operations, so that can be implemented. So we have implemented this successfully. So once we try, in the testing also we have done in one of the parking lots, and this is exactly this training is what you see here. Because all that we want to know is, when you have a zigzag path like this, how do you, what kind of commands do you give? So that is one training can be done using a simple game model like this. So then we have flown it, yeah, you see this, the train model being tested in one of the parking lots at IISc. So it's able to negotiate the turning, the roads, etc. Yeah. So it does, it has a safe flight, and then we did something on autonomous landing. This is one of the things, especially when you, in Bangalore, you have traffic problems, then ambulance is coming and police has no clue that you have a drone on top of the car, it can go, give you the situational awareness or alert the police to open the traffic, and then it can come back and latch on to the vehicle. But here we have done for static car. Later I will show you one of the things that we did, even on a moving platform you can land. So here we are heavily dependent on accurate GPS things, so we have used some RTKS and things like that, but that will not always work because GPS has its own error problems, plus or minus 3 meter, which will definitely not work for a puzzle. So in each case we have used some codes, the April tags, what we call, so we have done some work on that. This is a static one. How do we go to the dynamic? Go to the next. On the diagram. So now we made our own ground vehicle, simple one, and now there are markers. The markers will tell how to position exactly to the center. There is it's based on camera vision, and then it will latch on to the vehicle. Of course, this is low speed. For higher speeds we can do, but that needs more funding because we need a better computing platform on board. Otherwise, our algorithms are quite at hand. Then the object segmentation is one of the things that in any obstacle avoidance, you have to identify the objects. So here you see how we can pick up the object. Somebody enters, that will also be captured. Even if he has some bag, etc., that can be captured. So in this you see the same thing, but without the background. So only that objects are highlighted. So whoever enters, it gets easily highlighted. Even whatever he is carrying can be highlighted. It can be trained even for some weapons, etc. And if somebody is carrying some weapon, we can highlight and pick up. Then, of course, this I'm not going to the details of all the capture, depth, etc. Some of the application that we have done is, of course, this is something used for water pollution monitoring, and this vehicle can land on water, take off from the water, and we can put some sort of a water sample collector automatically, so it can go about 10 kilometers up the stream and come back. You can collect water samples wherever you want, you can fix those positions. You can come back with the water samples and you can do the offline analysis later. Else, if you have reliable sensors, you can put the sensors on board and it can take the sensors, it can dip wherever you want, it can send the information to your ground control station via telemetry, so there is another possibility. That has in many inaccessible areas, and even today it is all basically manual. So, but manual means they themselves, the authorities themselves say that nobody will go and do, everybody will sign. So essentially there is nothing called breakdown maintenance, there is nothing called preventive maintenance, it is only breakdown maintenance. So otherwise they use helicopters which is very expensive, they carry camera and do the thermal imaging, so very expensive. Therefore we came out with one algorithm where the drone can be made to fly over the power line. It itself automatically detects the power line and simply tracks the power line, maybe up to 10 kilometers. Put a thermal camera so that you can pick up all the hot spots with GPS tags so that you know where the problem is. Oh, you don't have that later. Here it is. So it will change. So we have done this. We flew and you see in this algorithm it has picked up all the power lines. So which means it can detect and it can simply fly over the path wherever it has gone. So that's one of the advantage. Then I'm sorry, I'll go a little back. So this is another thing that is we carry an anemometer here and you play the video. So this is very useful in agricultural applications where you want to. This is octocopter, 8 rotors, payload of about 5.5 kgs. It can carry some whatever pesticides or whatever, because most of the pesticide spraying, if they are macro level, it cannot penetrate the leaf. Because of that, many bacteria or whatever you call, they are sometimes, if they are behind the leaves, they will not be effectively killed. Whereas with an anemometer, it can actually penetrate through the leaves and it can help the distribution properly. Whether it is pesticide or some minerals, vitamins, etc., which they use in these days. So this is another useful thing. So this anemometer is developed by my other colleague, Professor Jagdish. So this is another interesting thing that we did on radiation monitoring. This is one of the interesting things because when some disasters happen, one of the most critical thing is to have an idea of what is the radiation level. So manual intervention is very, very hazardous and not possible. And UAV is one of the best things. You can mount some Giger-Muller counter which they generally use to measure the radiation levels. You can launch a UAV, it can go, it can report the variation of the radiation levels at the region of interest. Then it can report via telemetry, so one can easily detect. So to test it was a challenge because naturally in the lab available radiation emitters, they are very limited weight, 1 feet or something. But we wanted to know at higher level, therefore we found that Chavara coast in Kerala has a radiation level of 12 times higher than Bengaluru because of the thorium content in the land. It's a natural radiation. So we went there, we put our quadcopters first to check the variation of these across the altitude, to calibrate the sensor, we did, and we actually plotted, and I will show you the graph which will show that the results that are obtained are fairly acceptable. Then after this we moved on to the fixed wing, because fixed wing can do a large area surveillance very quickly. So this is first thing. Then you can see this is the cover Chavara coast. This is at IAC Bengaluru. This is exactly 12 times higher at Chavara coast. So we knew that the calibration and sensor readings are fairly reliable. Then we put it on a fixed wing. This is properties, and this is the waypoint navigation which was decided and launched, and it will automatically do that, and it will give the radiation levels in CPS or counts per second or something. There is some measure, so you can plot all that on your graph. So this is, we are doing what is called a belly landing. Is again the design of the belly is very important because inside you have a very sensitive sensor. So readings will be like this. With GPS tagging, the CPM of the counts per minute will come, and this is the onboard camera how it looks. It's completely covered with sea because it was a sea coast. So this is how it gives different colors. You can see CPM versus this color. Well, sometimes things go wrong, as we all agree in the experimental work, and the same thing happened to us. For whatever reason, although it was autonomous, it lost the path. These after we recovered, we saw this is how it happened. It lost, and we thought that because it's a sea coast, we were 100% sure that it will fall into the sea and we will lose rupees 6 lakh. That's what we had invested on this. For our lab, 6 lakh is quite big money, and we thought it is all gone. But Kerala being the land of gods, the gods were very courteous, and you see what happened. And this onboard video I will show you towards the end what happened. And just crossed the sea and just landed against a tree and not even a single scratch. So one gentleman came, we didn't know there was a camera, and he was curious, he picked it up, and our students really searched for about 7 hours, and it was about 11 kilometers away somewhere, but WhatsApp, everything, and the locals, thankfully they all helped. This fellow carried faithfully and kept it at his home, carried on his cycle. So that's how we got it back. So this is our story about what we did for the radiation monitoring. And I've presented this at various forums, including various government authorities. And the question I have asked them is that, is this project not interesting? Everybody says this is interesting, and nobody has given me any funds. And we see direct impact, because when something happens, I think the country should be ready with some of these things. We talked to several, HL, everybody, I don't know what is really, and I also applied for input, and they simply rejected. They did not even give me the reason why. So this is something puzzling for me.
If the chairman permits, I would like to interact for just a minute, because I am also belonging to the Department of Atomic Energy.
Yeah.
Can you just interact with him, sir?
Is it a brief or?
Just one question.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Sir, you are launching this vehicle. How far it goes from monitoring location?
It can go 20 kilometers and come back.
It can go 20 kilometers and come back? Okay. What is the failure rate? What is the failure rate?
Failure rates, see, with any flying vehicle, one thing is that we cannot say reliability is 100%. But these kind of slow vehicles, slow flying vehicles, well-made ones, I don't think there is any reason to suspect failure.
Is it better than a drone, or it is?
No, these fixed wings are more reliable because number of moving parts are less, obviously, and we can make it robust. Only point is we have to put some mill-graded servos, which will cost more, but it is possible to have a fairly reliable. But if you ask me, is it 100%? I think any engineering product, nobody will say it is 100%.
And the data gets mapped simultaneously, but it.
Oh yeah, it can live relay on your ground control station. So then we did what is called as eye in the sky, which is using the drone images. Can you identify, for example, drones can fly over a mob, and if there is any violence breakout, can you detect the violence activity? This is the mock drill we did at our IIC, so these are our lab students. We developed an algorithm based on the machine learning. So these are 3 steps. One is the first is the detection of the human, because we have to detect the human, and then we have to detect what you call as violence activity, then classify it as violence activity and report. And this attracted BBC, and they actually interviewed us. I don't worry about that, we don't have time. Okay. So this made some good news, I would say. Then we have done on pre-crown extraction. This is done at IIS. We fly our drone, then the recrown is there. Use some algorithms to classify. We have used both supervised and unsupervised algorithms. You know the variety of species. For example, over a forest area, you want to know what are the variety of species. You can do that. Then if it is a plantation thing like banana or arcanut, etc., we can also get the number of trees that are there. Then I don't know, this paddy crop we did at Kerala, because of paucity of time, I will just pause. Then seed dropping we have done. This is another interesting thing. You play that. This is one idea we did, myself and Professor K.B. Reddy, we initiated there. And when we first did it, it became a big news, and we thought a lot of things will happen, but we continued, but nothing much actually came by, because today we see that a lot of people saying that we have planted 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs trees, etc. But nobody knows what is the impact. What happened to those 2 lakh trees? Every year they are planting, but what is the impact? If you use drone technology, the idea is that we thought that we will take the seeds and drop, even in inaccessible areas, and then do a path planning activity so that you capture all the images. And every 3 months you capture the images and do image processing comparison, then you will know what impact it has done on the ecology, whatever you have planted. So this is one thing we developed. This can carry about 8 kgs. Now we have developed another vehicle which can carry 20 kgs. Did you put that photo? Don't. Okay. So this we did at Doribindu, and we have done algorithms to extract the roads. It's based on drone imagery, and you can extract the roads using some techniques based on convolutional neural networks, and you can know whether it is a tar road or a bitumen road or mud road or whatever it is, or the defects in the road, etc. can be easily captured. Then today road tracking has become a serious thing, because most of the campuses are not protected against drones. Any drone today, it can carry about half kg of some explosives, it can land anywhere, there is no protection. So we have made an algorithm, just a camera mounted somewhere can actually pick up, detect and indicate that a drone is coming onto your campus, so that you can later handle it however you deem it fit. You can either shoot it down or put some net to capture, etc. So there are other techniques are there. This is a serious thing the country is working on. Today, there is no reliable technology available. They are working on radars, but radars capturing these kind of small vehicles at low altitudes is a challenge even today. But we have done something that is with cameras, something can be done. We also did work on disguised laser indication, which is not very relevant to this audience, but this also really came on BBC and a lot of people covered us. I'm not going to this. We did something on tomato yield estimation. Because in Kolar we see today tomato is either 80 rupees per kg, and sometimes it becomes 80 paisa per kg because supply demand chain is not understood. So we have developed algorithms to do all these things, video, then you do, and we have developed algorithms based on pixel identification, and more than that, we have further using machine learning how to capture the tomato. They are not going to this. This is the latest we have done. You can, using machine learning, we can capture the tomatoes. You can see the box around each tomato. And the size of the box is also proportional to the size of the tomato. And the texture of the tomato is also available, which means we know how many tomatoes are there, what is their weight, what is their texture, so that you can grade the tomato at the farmer level, at the farm level, and maybe indicate to a buyer elsewhere, and he can decide where to buy. He can simply come here and buy. And we can give you yield estimation, so that it will also guide to other farmers, so that they need to grow or not to grow more. So this is one thing. This also made good news. Deganarol covered us, and the Principal Secretary of Government of Karnataka called us, IAS officer. We just made a presentation. He was very, very happy. He said, no doubt we can give you any amount of money. This is a very useful work, and this is 2 years past. And from the Ministry of Economics, the economic advisor to the current peer, he also wrote mail to us. We exchanged some 5 to 6 emails, and that is it. Okay, we have done the same thing for mango yield estimation. And have a mango. Then today, mango, most of the people, they do mortgaging, everything, but the seller doesn't know what is the yield, etc. So there's a lot of exploitation. So if you see here, the detecting image, similarly tomato, they can capture all the visible mangoes. I know people will immediately talk about invisible mangoes, but there is not much, because most visible mangoes need sunlight, so there is not much hidden. But it will give you a good accuracy. This is about the paddy thing that we did at Kerala. There we used a multispectral camera, and we have been able to identify healthy versus unhealthy crop. So we computed what is called the NDVI index. Healthy crops will have an NDVI of greater than 0.5, and disease dropped at 10.5. We were able to identify, and they also verified on ground, stating that this is correct. So we have done something, a mobile-based application for disease identification with respect to the what we call as sugar cane. I will not go into these details. This we have been able to do. And for flood relief, you see, when the flood happens, you can send a drone, capture the images, but one of the important problems, they will lose communication. First, there is no communication. We don't know, the rescuers don't know, because this recently happened. There are 80 people and they have gone with on small boats because somebody said there are some people. So they have serious problems. So we need to have an algorithm where drone images can be captured and identify the humans, say how many people are there so that the rescue authorities can make appropriate decisions and you get the accurate information. We have also developed one drone which can carry a communication tower so that it can fly for about 3.5 hours, providing at least a WhatsApp mechanism for these people. So this we have done, and this is what we spread, and we have used a sophisticated machine learning algorithm. See, it can pick up, including animals. It can show human, animals, the cats, etc. How many people are there? You can pick up and indicate so that proper decision can be done. So these are some things. Press has been kind for us. We got some small award from the government. Oh, this is something else I made for some other forum. Drone market is looking up. Market is quite good, but there are a lot of regulation problems. I think people are sorting it out. And this is what I had to share with you. Thank you very much.
Almost 15 minutes less than what